What is up, Mizzou fans? Welcome back to another game preview here on Show Me Football. My name is Josh Fann of ShowMeFootball.com, covering your Missouri Tigers. He's Brayden Dowers, and Missouri goes on the road for the first time this season at Jordan-Hare Stadium versus the Auburn Tigers. I think the Tigers are going to win this weekend. Which ones? We'll find out right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, Missouri Tigers fans, welcome back in to another one here on Show Me Football, joined by my co-host, as always, Brayden Dowers, as your Missouri Tigers head to Jordan-Hare on the road for the first time this season. You know, Brayden, before we get into this game, I just want to ask you, now that we've had some time to kind of move on from the loss and it's kind of festered a little bit, what are your feelings heading into the Auburn game, and what do you think the team's attitude is heading into this Auburn game after the tough loss from last weekend?
I think that the team is going to bounce back. I don't think that they're going to sit on the Bama loss too long, because we've seen this Tigers team after those big games. They don't let that game beat them twice under Eli Drinkwitz. We haven't lost back-to-back games since at least 2022, because 2023, we never lost back-to-back games. We didn't lose back-to-back games last year. And I would expect that trend to continue this year. Drinkwitz doesn't let those games beat him twice, and he finds ways to bounce back with a punch almost every single time. So Drinkwitz knows how to come back from a loss in those big games. So I'm not too worried about the emotions of that team being down, the spirits of them being worn, and them doubting themselves at all. Maybe a little bit, because they're a younger team and it's their first real punch in the mouth, so they might be a little bit slow getting back up. Kind of like how we saw Mizzou go down 14-0 early in that Kentucky game right after the LSU game in 2023, but then punched back and absolutely dominated them for the final three quarters. But again, kind of going back to what our post game was, I'm not too concerned about the Bama loss. I still feel pretty good about it. It still sits with me. Like it just stings, because you watch that Marquise Johnson play where he is wide open, and you know that he probably gets down to the 20, if not scores on that play, if Bo throws his way. So that part of it just stings, because if you're 6-0 going into Jordan-Hare with the possibility of being 7-0, your season is looking exponentially better than what it looks like right now, which is 5-1. But I mean, that's still really good. And if you can win this game, you're still in a fantastic spot. But if you lose this game, we'll start falling off, and you're going to have to win out the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the tough part, is that your margin for error is just a lot smaller. You could argue that it's pretty much gone. I mean, it would be gone with a loss to Auburn. Like, I think that's what is so tough about the Bama loss, is that, like you said, if you were 6-0 heading to Auburn, then come out of it 7-0, then it's like, okay, we can lose to A&M and Oklahoma and realistically still be in the playoff.
Yeah.
Now that's not the case, and that's not even mentioning Mississippi State or Arkansas, who I both think are very tough outs. Yeah, and Vandy, yeah. So, man, the SEC is just extremely difficult this year, and Auburn's no exception. I mean, yeah, they're 3-3 so far. They're winless in the conference. They're searching for that first conference win, but their games have all been close. And you could really argue, Brayden, that officiating has screwed them over in just about every loss, because they should have beat Oklahoma. They were robbed of a touchdown, a scoop and score touchdown, and Oklahoma scored a touchdown in a play where the receiver was ineligible. The Georgia game, I mean, that was all sorts of crazy. Yeah. But Brayden, it does kind of feel like Auburn is at the point now, Hugh Freeze is kind of on the hot seat. One of their team captains, Damari Alston, was dismissed from the team earlier this week. I know he didn't play much, but doesn't seem great for vibes and culture, because I know a lot of Auburn players came out in support of them, saying, like, there's no way this guy should have been let go. The relationship seems like it's fractured just a bit. There's some cracks forming in the foundation. And it feels like if you were to come out here in this game, punch Auburn in the mouth, they could potentially decide, you know what, we're done, and roll over. And Mizzou could win big in this one. I do think there's potential for that.
I definitely agree because the cracks are definitely starting to break in the Hugh Freeze team there. But we saw this with Brian Harson's that one last gasp, and the Tigers were the
That's
victim
a
of
great
that
way to
last
put
night.
it.
It was just one last hoorah from Brian Harsin and Auburn whenever they beat Missouri after we missed a 27-yard field goal and Nate Noel fumbled it in the back of the end zone. Nate Pete. What?
Yeah, Nate Pete, because you said Nate Noel.
Oh, yeah, Nate Noel was running back last year. No, Nate Pete, jeez.
Nate's.
Yeah, just absolutely scarred from that game. Was one of the worst Mizzou losses of the Eli Drinkwitz era, and that especially that 2022 season, just brutal. That was the last time that we played Auburn. Last time we played at Jordan-Hare, so not fun memories of going to that place. And Auburn's kind of in a similar spot. I think that we're in a significantly better spot than we were in 2022. But Auburn's kind of in that similar spot where if they don't look great in the first quarter, that team's just going to give up on Freeze. And I mean, the Auburn AD had to come out and say that they weren't planning on firing him this week, which all but means they're getting ready to fire him.
Yeah,
because cracks are
famous last words.
Yeah.
Well,
whenever the AD has to come out and say, "We're not firing him, guys, not yet," basically.
Yeah.
You can tell that they're trying to keep everything settled down, but underneath all that, you can tell that this program's just starting to crack, and Mizzou needs to just bust it wide open and end Hugh Freeze's career as a coach for Auburn. And it's just a matter of getting it done at this point.
Yeah. Well, this Auburn team actually reminds me a lot of 2022 Mizzou, although they've gone up against some tough opponents. I mean, Oklahoma, A&M, Georgia to open up conference play. I mean, that's really tough.
Yeah.
But it does remind me of 2022 Mizzou a little bit in their inability to finish games. And like, yeah, they've kind of gotten screwed over by the refs, but to simply, break it down, bad teams find ways to lose football games, and that's just what Auburn's done to this point. Yeah. They're not great at finishing games. Hugh Freeze is not a winning coach at this point in time, and it just feels like Eli Drinkwitz, he thrives on the opportunity to just keep winning games right now, and that's the position that he's in. I don't know. I feel like Drinkwitz is going to have these guys ready to go. I think they're going to avenge that Alabama loss. I think Mizzou's the better team. They're just going to find a way to win games because that's what this program has done under Eli Drinkwitz, and under Hugh Freeze. Auburn has found a way to lose games. And I'll give Auburn credit. They have a very tough defense. They have a really good front seven. They don't allow a ton of yards on the ground, but on the contrary, their pass defense ranks in the hundreds this year. I think this has to be a get-right game for Bo Pribula in the passing game, especially after how they looked against Alabama. And also, if you're Auburn, the game plan going up against Missouri is like, we're going to do what Alabama did. We're going to sell it to stop the run. And Bo's going to have to win you a conference game at some point.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard to do it in Jordan-Hare. I mean, I don't know if I said it after the Bama game, but that place is built on Indian burial grounds.
Yeah, well, we've seen it
cursed. Yeah. It is a cursed stadium. It feels like every time that Auburn's playing at home, they have a chance just because of how loud that place can get and just the weird shit that happens there. So it's never a place that you look forward to playing at as an SEC school, and it's also definitely not the place that you want to be your first test of the season and the first road start for Bo Pribula for this Tigers team, because especially after the Bama game where you had all those miscommunications, you didn't look right. That's what really scares me. If you're having those miscommunications at home against an SEC team, you're not going to be able to handle it on the road, especially in an environment like Jordan-Hare at night, because if you have those same issues, we're losing this game. And that it was a first-time thing for Bo in this offense last week to have those miscommunications, wide receivers not turning around, not looking for the ball, not running the right routes. And I think a lot of that can go on Kirby Moron. But the offense has to get right for this game, and that's the biggest thing that concerns me because I 1,000,000% believe in this defense's ability to stop Jackson Arnold. They were able to do it last year pretty well at Oklahoma, and this time we have Khalil Jacobs. And as we've said in almost every single preview, who's really good at stopping QBs from running? Khalil Jacobs. Every time. He is limited quarterbacks from running the ball, and Jackson Arnold, if you force him to try and beat you through the air, that's going to be a game plan for success for this Missouri Tigers defense. And with honestly, again, with how they looked against Ty Simpson, which in my opinion was pretty good, best that the secondaries looked all year.
Mm-hmm.
If they can keep that momentum coming into this Auburn game, I'm going to feel really good about our defense and their ability to hold Auburn to maybe even single-digit points.
Yeah, I think our pass defense deserves a lot of credit for their performance against Alabama. And like one of the huge throws that Ty Simpson was able to make in that game was up against Toriano Pride. And I immediately wanted to go, Pride, of course. But then I watched it over and like he had good coverage
for it.
Yeah, it was just, it was a great throw by the quarterback. Great play by a couple of great players. But no, I was really impressed by our ability to cover Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard, who I think are just as good, if not better, than Eric Singleton and Cam Coleman, the wide receiver duo for Auburn. So I feel a lot better going up against them after what we saw against Alabama. And then furthermore, Jackson Arnold, you mentioned it. I just trust this defense versus Jackson Arnold. And I say this as someone that's like been a huge Jackson Arnold advocate. I thought he just had to get out of Oklahoma, but he's got a 5-star arm. He's mobile. But I don't think the pairing with Hugh Freeze was great for him. It hasn't really, I don't think it's been the match made in heaven that it was supposed to be. He still has problems turning the football over, and he takes a ton of sacks. He's already been sacked the most in the SEC this year.
And that is not something that you can afford with this Missouri pass rush.
Yeah. Damon Wilson, Zion Young, Damon Wilson in particular. I mean, he's just really turned it up. As of recently, I've seen his name start to make its way into a couple of mock drafts as a late first-round pick. I think we have to start prepping for the possibility that this will be Damon Wilson's only year in Como.
Yeah, I think that's pretty safe to say unless he gets hurt or just has a drastic decrease in production, because his ability to get to the quarterback has been phenomenal, especially over the last few weeks. He had 2 sacks against Bama, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, in Bama's offensive line, definitely not something to laugh at, because Bama's going to beat you in the trenches. It's where they're going to beat you almost everywhere with the football. And the fact that the Missouri defensive line and offensive line were able to go toe-to-toe with them and almost pull out a victory shows you how good this Tigers team is in the trenches. And if Jackson Arnold's taking this many sacks and didn't look that great against the Tigers front last year, which didn't have Damon Wilson and Khalil Jacobs wasn't there, and we have other guys playing now, it's going to be, I mean, defense travels too.
Yeah.
So that's something that you're going to have to remember with this Tigers defense, is that it doesn't matter how loud that place is going to get whenever the offense is on the field. Defense, it's going to be quiet, and they're going to be able to really put in the work. And I'm excited to see what they do, because I think that they're in a really good spot right now, because again, after that Bama game, like, I really can't be mad at the defense, because they were put in really bad situations and got Bama on most of their possessions. Like, there were so many possessions where Bama was starting at their 40 or 50, thanks to Eric Links and his absolutely abysmal special teams, because our punting game is absolutely abysmal and our kickoffs are absolutely abysmal too.
And the failed fake punt as well.
Like, everything about what Eric Links does, how he has a job, is beyond me. But when
we need a nickname for him next, we haven't come up with one.
Yeah, whenever the opponents are starting at their 40 or 40-yard line or the 50, then it's really hard for the defense to get stops, and the defense was still able to do a lot of things. They were able to get us 7 points against Bama and hold them to only 27 off of really bad field positioning. So,
yeah, no, I have full confidence in the defense versus Auburn. You look at what they've done so far in conference play: 10 points against Georgia, only 10 points against Texas A&M, 17 points against Oklahoma. And then you take into account the fact that Missouri, and I know there was a couple times in that game, Brayden, where there was a couple gotta have it plays and they didn't get them, but you're not going up against the same offensive juggernaut that is Alabama and Ty Simpson at quarterback. And even then, coming out of that game, like Missouri remains one of the best third down defenses in the country. They remain one of the best rushing defenses in the country. Missouri has a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense in the nation. I don't think that changed after one 3-point loss to Alabama. I just look at what Auburn's done so far and what Missouri's done on the defensive side of the ball, and I think it's just really hard to see Auburn scoring more than 10, 17 points in this game. And if you do that, you hold them to that number, you have to come out with a win and hope that the offense does their job. I think this is going to be another game where you just count on the offense to do their job and do what they've done all season, man, because they were so good coming into that Bama game. And then the first drive of the Bama game, they were awesome. And then it was after that first drive, after the first 15 or so scripted plays, everything kind of fell apart. And Kirby Moore didn't really seem to have a pulse on what this team did well. And I don't think you can make the same mistake twice, whether it's abandoning the run or if you're Bo Prabula making the same mistake twice, like, giving away who you're going to throw the ball to pre-snap, which is, I think, what led to, that last interception.
Yeah.
I'm trying to move on, but even if you look at that last throw to Donovan Olugbade, it was actually not as bad of a throw if you look at it from the quarterback's perspective. And if Olugbade gets his head around, he probably catches that ball. But it was just poor execution on a desperation drive late in the game. And
it's just not going to be a winning strategy with how this team is built to only have Ahmad Hardy carry the ball 12 times. That's just not a winning strategy. And Kirby Moore has been a phenomenal offensive coordinator. That's what he turned this team around. Once he was hired before the 2023 season, that's when this team skyrocketed. So Kirby Moore is a good offensive coordinator. There's a reason his name is coming up for job openings around the country, whether it be Arkansas or other places. I think that he's going to get a head coaching job at some point in his career. So he is a good offensive coordinator. I have no doubt about that. But that doesn't change the fact that he called a abysmal game against Alabama, where one of the best, if not the best running back in the country only gets 12 carries. Mm-hmm. You completely abandon the run, go to 5 wide on 3rd and 2. You go to a quarterback power on 3rd and 8. And it's just like, what are you doing? It's just not a winning game. It's not a winning strategy, especially against Alabama. They're going to make you pay for those kind of mistakes.
They're going to make, for lazy play calling, which is what that was.
And if you decide to do that on the road too, it's going to be even worse. And that's what really scares me is if that was a sign of things to come for this offense, then it's going to be a long season. And I don't know if Mizzou gets more than 2 wins in the rest of the SEC because they could very easily lose this Auburn game, lose to A&M, lose to Vandy, lose to Oklahoma, and maybe even lose to Mississippi State or Arkansas. But if they play their game, they get time of possession, they win that time of possession battle, they beat you in the trenches, they just wear you down, run it down your throats 3 times in a row, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down, then we're going to be able to win the football game. Because if we get to play the game that we are good at, then I fully believe in this team to pull out a win. Because if this offense can, like you said, just score probably 20 points, you win this game, in my opinion. I don't think that Jackson Arnold and the Auburn Tigers are going to be able to put up 24 points on this Tigers defense. So if the offense can just score you 20 points, or hell, if the offense scores you 17 points and then the defense gets you a turnover in Auburn territory or gets a score of their own, you're going to be in a really good spot.
Yeah, and that all feels pretty likely. I mean, because we talked about this after the Bama loss. Really bad day for Bo Prabula. Worst game of his career. Not a great day for the Missouri Tigers offensively. Still put up, what was it, 24 points?
17, because the fumble put him right at the 6.
Yeah. But as you said, it's pretty likely that that happens again in this game where you get an opportunity like that created by your defense going up against a struggling offense that turns the ball over.
So if you can just score 17, if you play the exact same game that you did against Bama from the offensive side of the football, you win.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No, I agree with that. And I want to go back to the running game real quick, because what was so frustrating about abandoning the run is we've been so good at sticking with it in the past, even against teams that were shutting it down early. We just stuck with it and we said, we're going to wear them down. We're going to be, Drinkwitz has always said, we're going to be tougher than you, stronger than you in the fourth quarter. Those gaps are going to start to get bigger. And then it always felt like whoever it was, Nate Noel, Cody Schrader, like eventually as the game wore on, they were going to keep running hard and eventually the big ones would break. And we never got to see that against Alabama because they didn't invest the carries and the running backs enough for us to be able to see it, for that to come to fruition. And it's not even like the running backs got completely shut down.
Jamal Roberts had really big runs. Hardy start like in the second quarter, like whenever you start to see those gaps just get a little bit bigger, you saw him going for 4 or 5 almost every single carry. It was just he had one drive where he got stopped twice, and then it was 3rd and 2, and we decided that we needed to pass. And then after that point, I don't think that Hardy got another carry the rest of the game.
Yeah, and it also felt like there were too many times where we were passing on first down, and it would either be like a 1 or 2 yard gain, or no gain at all. And then it's like, okay, well now we have to pass on second down, and then it would be third down. It's like, okay, well we have to pass on third down now as well.
That's what happened during the fake punt. We passed on first down, incompletion, passed on second down, and didn't get anything. Passed on third down, got 5 yards, and then had to run a fake punt.
Yeah, and that's kind of stuff I feel like is almost inexcusable when Ahmad Hardy's going to at least get you 2 or 3 yards on first down, as opposed to no gain at all. So that's the frustrating thing. But no, I think if you play a C+, B- game on offense, you can still easily win this. I don't think that's asking too much. And Drinkwitz has talked about how Bo doesn't really make the same mistake twice, although I think he has kind of made similar mistakes now a couple times. But
I would love for him not to throw an interception this game.
Yeah, you got to clean up the turnovers, man, especially if you're going to win this one. Like, you can't be giving Auburn free possessions. You got to clean up the turnovers. But I do think, we got to give Bo a little bit more grace just because that was his 6th start ever. I think he learned some valuable things after that Bama loss, and he's going to have something to prove coming out in this one. And also, if you're not getting it from him throwing the ball, run some more designed runs. And I'm not talking about the QB draws on 3rd and 8. I'm talking about like what we saw against South Carolina, when he had the fake handoff to the right and then he rolls to the left and he's got a ton of field in front of him, or like the run that he had on the first offensive drive against Alabama. That's that kind of stuff. Like, use that. That's what he was famous for coming over from Penn State.
Yep. And it feels like they're trying to make him into more of a traditional quarterback, and it's like it's working. Like, he's able to make some really good throws that I don't think that other Mizzou quarterbacks in the past have been able to make under Drinkwitz. And he's by far the most talented quarterback, like the highest ceiling quarterback that Drinkwitz has had. But he's not utilizing him to his fullest potential, it feels like. Like, there's still that aspect of the running game where it's just like you want to see him go out there and make a few more runs. But I get maybe being a little bit more conservative with him since Sam Horn isn't there to back him up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally understand that. But I think you have to do what you need to win these games. You can't be calling plays scared. I mean, Drinkwitz said that at the end of the first half versus Alabama. He said it feels like we're calling plays like we're scared right now. We need to not do that in the second half. Well, the second half was kind of the same story. It still felt like they were calling plays like they were scared. Yeah. They were scared to get in an unfavorable down and distance situation, and they went away from their strengths.
For sure.
So, yeah, I think you just need to get you need to execute just a little bit better, because it was just a few more plays. Alabama won on the margins in that game. They just made a few more plays. They were able to take advantage of some Missouri execution errors. So if you can just clean some of them up, like if Bo has no turnovers and the defense performs just like it did against Alabama, and if the offense performs just like it did against Alabama without the turnovers, like you said, you win this game. And Jordan-Hare definitely is a tough place to play. It is any road game in the SEC, honestly, is tough.
Besides maybe Vandy and Kentucky.
Yeah.
From a home field environment perspective, Vandy is a significantly better team just from a places to play.
Sure. But yeah, you have to go out and win this game if you're going to be taken seriously for the rest of the year. You just have to go out and you have to win a game against a team that's clearly inferior to you. Like I don't know. I look at the two teams. I look at their resume so far, what they've done. Missouri looks like the better team. You got to go out there and take care of business against the worst team. It's as simple as that.
For sure. And I mean, Auburn,
team that's reeling right now.
One of their captains, their 80s had to come out and say that they don't plan on firing Freeze. I think a few other guys have entered the portal. So you know that they're down in the dumps. And if you can open this game up with a touchdown, a stop, and then another touchdown, then, I mean, floodgates can really open for this one. Like, you can really get to them and get that crowd quiet and just play your game.
Yeah, play your game, punch them in the mouth, come out, play confident, do what you've done all year, stick to your strengths. I think you're good. You win this game.
For sure. But, I mean, it is still a very easily losable game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. But I really think that's all there is to say about this matchup specifically. I think, Missouri, the strengths, the numbers, it's on their side. The arrow's pointing towards them. You just have to come out and execute. Don't, come out and be hungover from the Alabama loss. But I don't really fear that at all with them. I think Drinkwitz is really running this program like a professional right now. And he said, you got to move on. You just have to move on. I think he already has. And he's ready to go on the road as well. I mean, he prepared this team for that over the offseason by simulating a road game at Lindenwood. I know some people will kind of laugh at that, but I mean, at least you can see that like Drinkwitz is making it a point to prepare the team for a road environment because he knows how much they struggled at it last year.
Yeah.
Like he's not ignoring that. So he's embracing.
Your only road win was Mississippi State.
Yeah. So I was going to kind of end the preview of Auburn by asking you if you're worried at all about them going on the road, because we didn't talk about that at the beginning. But I mean, is there any concerns about this team on the road under Drinkwitz?
I mean, yeah, a little bit. I mean, they were really good on the road in 2023. Mm-hmm. They beat Kentucky, almost beat Georgia. Who else did we play on the road that year? Tennessee, LSU, or
Arkansas was on the road as well. I mean,
Arkansas was really bad that year. Memphis was in a dome. Vandy, it was on the road, and we won at Vandy.
Yeah. Yep.
So I mean, it was a bit of a lighter schedule. So we went 3-1 on the road. But I mean, they had the best chance to beat Georgia that year out of anybody.
Yeah, they played them closest of anyone that year.
Yeah, when Georgia was at home, because I think that was the year that Georgia almost lost to Kentucky at home.
Yeah, I think you might be right. And I remember they slapped around Ole Miss, although I don't remember if that was at home or not. But
that was
continue.
At home. That was at home. Like I said, just with those miscommunications that they were having in that Bama game, that's the main thing that concerns me for this game. Is if those continue over and in the first quarter we see Bo Pribula just miss a throw or the receiver just runs the wrong route or something along those lines where they're just not on the same page, then I'm going to be worried about this game and our ability to lose it. Because those are the kind of plays that lead you to interceptions. And that's what happened at the end of the Bama game was it just led to an interception at the end when you could very easily had a chance to go down to the field and win it. So if you can just limit those turnovers, limit those miscommunications and those wrong routes and whatever was going on in the Bama game, if that doesn't happen, you clean up the turnovers, you clean up the miscommunications, and you, like you said, just play a B- game on offense. Sure, Bo might miss a few throws. Sure, you might take a few sacks or lose a few yards here and there on run plays. But if that happens and you just don't as long as you don't shoot yourself in the foot, this team should be able to take care of business.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I don't know. This one's not too complicated. I mean, it's just it's Jackson Arnold, a quarterback you're familiar with, and Auburn, and they're reeling right now. Keep a bad program bad. Keep a losing team losing.
For sure.
I guess without further ado, Brayden, what is your score prediction? Who's winning? I got the Tigers, by the way.
Such a terrible joke that you made at the beginning. If anybody's still watching that, I want them to know that was an abysmal joke. No, my score prediction is the Missouri Tigers 21, Auburn 13.
I'm going to go Missouri 24, Auburn 16.
Okay.
So we're pretty close. I think we're about on the same page. I think the game looks the same, even if the score is a little bit different. Now that's the preview. Brayden, I have to ask you, and we're pushing out the movie Actually, no, I'll let you give a movie recommendation because I know you have one at the very end. But Drinkwitz, Penn State, the coaching carousel. Should Mizzou fans be worried?
I don't really think so. I think the answer that he gave in the press conference whenever Gabe DeArmond asked him about it, where he said that, he just didn't give it the time of day and he just brushed it off completely. And he's just like, I don't give a shit about this. Like, fuck off. I think that that's a lot more genuine of an answer than what somebody like Matt Rule gave, where they just give a whole love letter to the team and the city that they're in. And they say, oh, I love it here. We're so blessed to be here. Me and my wife love it here. She decides where we're going, this, that, and the other. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Like that entire message that gets so played out, and then they eventually leave. And I know that Drink gave that kind of on the radio show that you mentioned to me. But when Drink is saying that, at the very beginning, and a lot of it was about Kirby possibly leaving too. I think Drink is just very much, he's just like, I don't give a shit about it. And the fact that he has a recruiting pipeline in Pennsylvania already, just like, it shows you that he doesn't respect Penn State. He's just like, I can go to Pennsylvania and get all your recruits already. Like, why do I need to go there to get them?
Yeah.
Like you already have a recruiting hotbed there. You have the keys to the university at Missouri. You're the most powerful man on campus. Why are you going to go to Penn State where the expectations are probably going to be a little bit higher? You're going to have Adidas and the entire fan base screaming down your throat every other week. The ghost of Jerry Sandusky. He's still alive, but fuck that guy. Why I'm not too concerned, and there's so many Penn State alums that are in big coaching spots that they'd much rather get. Like, honestly, just because it's Penn State and it's a circle jerk up there, they'd probably rather have Manny Diaz than Drink anyways.
Yeah. One thing that I want to mention, and by the way, I think what you said
hold on. And also the whole, like, Drink can bring Bo back. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's happening. I don't think Penn State is the job Drink leaves for. I don't want to act like, the most just can't be bothered Mizzou fan that doesn't pay attention to these coach openings. Because, we have to talk about them for a reason.
Yeah.
But, and I'm not trying to sound like an elitist fan here, but I don't think Penn State is the job Drink would leave for. No. And I do think there's jobs that Drink would leave for. LSU. Ohio State, Michigan, like those are the kind of openings I'd be worried about for Eli Drinkwitz if they're to ever come along. But Penn State,
LSU, Bama, or Georgia would be the most concerning.
Yeah, but Penn State, okay, Mizzou can pay Drinkwitz more from a salary perspective, probably than Penn State can if they're trying to keep him. Missouri has already shown that they can outspend Penn State and NIL. Those are the two things that truly matter in this day and age. So, in my mind, I don't see him going there.
Yeah, but another Drink is single-handedly getting $250 million renovations to the stadium, and is probably going to get more in the near future in the south end zone and get more seats up there, and then probably on the press spot or on the alumni side of the stadium, get a new press box and maybe a second level up there. Like the room for improvement at Mizzou and the ability and the power that he has here isn't something that he's not going to be able to have at Penn State. And not saying that Drinkwitz doesn't want the expectations, but I also don't think that Drinkwitz is going to be the kind of guy to go and look at the Big Ten and look at Penn State's schedule in a season like next year, where if Mizzou has a schedule like that, they're going 11-1 or 12-0.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Drink wants that.
And that's one of those things that, could make the job attractive to the right coach. But, one of the things that I've noticed Drinkwitz talk about a few times now, and he kind of threw it in there during the radio interview. He kind of threw it in there during the press conference about how, you can go 0 or you could lose 3 games in a row in one of those schools, and all of a sudden you're on the hot seat. And that was a direct reference to James Franklin and Penn State. But I also think that's Drinkwitz telling everyone, hey, these other jobs, they're very volatile. One day you could be on a hot board, and the next one, you're on the hot seat. And I think he recognizes that, for a lot of these jobs, and he looks where he's at Mizzou, and, Drinkwitz could lose 3 games in a row here, and he's not losing his job. It'll be a disappointing year, but he has so much goodwill built up here, and I think he realizes that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, and if Drinkwitz leaves, it's not going to be due to money. It's just not. It'll simply be because Drinkwitz doesn't feel like he can win a national championship here. And if that's the case, then so be it. You go and get another coach that thinks he can win a national championship with the resources that Missouri provides. So I'm at peace with whatever happens. I don't really care. Now, I'd love to keep Drinkwitz.
I care, but...
Yeah. No, I mean, I would love for Mizzou to keep Drinkwitz, and I hope he stays, and I hope he becomes Mizzou's version of Nick Saban or Mike Gundy or, whoever, just someone who's
I don't know if I want Mike Gundy.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he has a little bit more success.
Look, and I think Mike Gundy was a fantastic coach at Oklahoma State, and the way that they did him was completely dirty and just an absolute mess. But I want more for Drink than what Pinkel did or what Gundy did at OSU, like you mentioned. I mean, and Pinkel was 1 game away from the national championship 2 times. And I think Drink can get to a pretty similar spot. If not better, given if he gets the right team, they can really make a run.
Yeah, no, for sure.
They might have it this year. They really might.
I mean, he said it was the most talented team ever coming into the year. I think we're seeing that already. He can get the talent here. He can get the guys to get to that level for sure. I agree. But I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
But before we go, Brayden, what is your movie recommendation to the audience?
I'm going to recommend Roof Man. It was a phenomenal movie. Channing Tatum, Kirsten Dunst are in it. Channing Tatum plays the roof man, guy who jumps over roofs at McDonald's, comes down through the roof and robs them, robs the bank or robs the restaurants. I think it's based off of a true story. There's over 45 robberies, and then he breaks out of prison. Then he becomes Kirsten Dunst's girlfriend or boyfriend, lives out of a Toys R Us, and it's just a really good, heartfelt story. And I think that Kirsten Dunst should get nominated, and in my opinion has been the best supporting actress performance that I've seen all year, and just a really good time. So yeah, that's my movie recommendation.
All right. Well, there you guys have it. So go out and see that. All that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Mizzou fans can find this. Everything will be down in the description as always. Check out showmefootball.com. Follow the Twitter at showmefb. That's all we got for this one. We'll see you all in the next one. And as always, Brayden, M-I-Z.
Z-O-U.